Good morning, students. Back with another online class. And today it's for class 7. We will be doing course. It's a new chapter. So before I begin with the chapter, let me show you something. Okay. Now, the first picture, I hope you can see all of you. This is the first picture. Now, I know most of you are aware of this personality because she is a woman of repute. She's known to everyone, and we got to know about her when we were in school, when I myself was in school. Now, I know you must be guessing, you want to give me the answer. Just tally your answer with that of mine. Okay, this woman is Kalpana Chawla. She was an American with an Indian origin, and she was associated with the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1997. She went to space. Okay, so this is all about Kalpana Chawla, but because of a tragic circumstances, she succumbed and she could not survive. The next picture is this one. Okay, now this is a male personality. Let me give you the name. Some of you might be aware of his identity, but this man is Rakesh Sharma. He was part of the Indian Air Force. He was a pilot, and he was the only Indian to travel to space on 3rd of April 1984. So he was the only Indian male to travel to space. This is the third picture. It's a she, and this woman is also extremely popular and renowned in whatever she did, and she even has quite a few records in her bag. This woman is, if you have guessed it correct, very good, Sunita Lynn Williams. She was a pilot, and she holds a record for the most spacewalks, which was 7, and the most spacewalk time, which was for 50 hours 40 minutes for a woman. She also traveled into space, and she came back to share her experience with the world as well. Now, this is the final picture that I'll be showing to you, and this woman is someone you might not know. They are not as well renowned as the other ones, but she was also very popular in her sphere of work. This woman's name is Stephanie Diana Wilson. She was also an American engineer and a NASA astronaut. So the pictures that I showed you, they have a common link. Can anyone guess what that is? If your guess is correct, give yourself a pat. They are all astronauts. They all deal with elements of the cosmic world, space. Okay. Let me talk about a bit of space science that we will be dealing with today in the chapter that we will do. Now, space science encompasses all of the scientific discipline that involve space exploration and study natural phenomena and physical bodies occurring in outer space, such as space medicine and astrobiology. So everything that deals with outer space, that deals with the universe, they encompass or they come under the radar of space science. Astronomy is also a part of it. Okay, it's basically the position, one who studies the position and movement of celestial bodies. I hope you have come across the name Aryabhatta. He was an astronomer. He was very well known. It also deals with cosmology, among one of the other spheres, study of the history and structure of the universe. So that is all about space science. It has innumerable tentacles, branches, but we will not be talking about those because that would be diverting from the topic. So for now, understand that the chapter that we will be dealing with, delving deep into, is all about cosmos, space, and the people who make the attempts of traveling into space and exploring the space possible. So today we will be talking about space scientists who are also a part of the research and technological development. Okay, so the first and foremost person that we'll be dealing with is a person called Ritu Karidhar. So by now I hope you have understood that today's topic is about space, and which chapter it was deals with space. Yes, your guess is correct. It's India's space women. So we will be talking about women achievers, specifically who have braved all the odds of life and who have succeeded in their spheres with flying colors. So the first and foremost person that we will be doing with is Ritu Karidhar. She was the Deputy Operations Director, Mars Orbiter Mission, something that we are well accustomed by the name Mangal Yan, okay, or Mars Mission. So let me talk about the Mars mission a bit. It was launched aboard PSLV C-25, and it was sent to examine, cultivate Mars surface features, morphology, mineralogy, and the Martian atmosphere. Everything that has to deal with Mars, this mission was all about that. Okay. So let's proceed. Ritu Karidhar Srivastava is an Indian scientist working with the Indian Space Research Organization. She was also called, or she had a sobriquet, she was called the Rocket Women of India. She was from Lucknow and she was born on 13th of April 1975. She was also associated with another very renowned space research and development by the name Chandrayaan 2. So let's begin with the chapter with the experience of Ritu Karidhar that she shared with all of us. Let's begin with the text. As a little girl growing up in the northern Indian city of Lucknow, as I told you, she was from Lucknow, Ritu Karidhar was an avid sky watcher who, she says, used to wonder about the size of the moon, why it increases and decreases. I wanted to know what lay behind the dark space. So Ritu Karidhar, from the very early days of her childhood period, she would gaze awestruck at the star, at the twinkling bright lights shining far away from us, and she would think, what is there in the dark space? And she wanted to explore that. She wanted to look into the deep crevices of space. A student of science who loved physics and maths, she scoured the daily newspapers for information about NASA. The full form of NASA is already provided, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, USA. And ISRO project, the full form of ISRO is also there, Indian Space Research Organization. Most of you are aware of these full forms, those who are science fanatics, space fanatics. Collected news clippings and read every little detail about anything related to space science. So she would be very, very minute and thorough with whatever news regarding science and space would be provided in the newspaper. So she loved reading the newspaper, specifically the portion that comprised space science topics. After getting her postgraduate degree, she applied for a job at ISRO. Now, if you want to apply for these kind of jobs and designation, you must be a very hardworking and diligent student. Your scores must be extremely good in order to opt for something like that. And that's how I became a space scientist, she says. It has now been 18 years, and Ms. Karidhar has worked on several projects at ISRO, including the prestigious Mars mission, the one that we are talking about, which thrust her and her colleagues into the limelight. So basically, it gave her a push. It was Mars mission that brought the team into limelight. So that was the biggest achieving point in Ritu Karidhal's life. The mission began in April 2012, and the scientists had only 18 months to complete the project. So they had only 18 months. So 1 year, 6 months in their hand to complete the project, to bring the project into fruition. It was a very small window. So the big challenge was to realize the project in that time. We had no heritage of interplanetary mission. So they did not have any previous experience. So this was the first attempt of theirs. They had no prior experience, knowledge of how it is moved ahead. So they did not have any heritage of interplanetary missions. Interplanetary, the meaning is situated or traveling between planets. So basically it's the traveling, it's the journey between planets. It's called interplanetary. So from Earth to Mars, both are planets, interplanetary mission. So we had a lot to do in that short period. So they had to be very well prepared because they really have no idea, no prior experience. They were amateurs when it came to interplanetary traveling. Although women scientists were part of the mission from its conception, from the very beginning, Ms. Karidhar says its success was due to team effort. Obviously, very, very relevant. Alone, a human being won't be able to achieve quite a lot of things in life. It's always team effort, being united, being together, that can lead to something being a success. This was a team effort, not an individual person's capability or potential can actually make this mission a success. That was not possible. That wouldn't have been possible. We used to sit with the engineers. Everyone would brainstorm. So it's a quick way of solving problems instantaneously. Irrespective of the time it took, we often worked on the weekends too. So this shows how dedicated these people were. They loved their job. If you love something, you do it irrespective of the impediments, the problems that come across your path. So they loved the job. She loved her work so much that she would not waste even the weekends. Saturdays, Sundays would also be taken in to complete the project. This shows how dedicated, how hardworking, and how talented she was. And she loved her job very, very much. A mother of 2 young children. So let me remind you, she was not a spinster. She was married. She had a family. She had 2 children. With children, it becomes very, very difficult to manage everything. But she was beautiful at balancing. She managed to have an equilibrium everywhere around. Ms. Karidhal says it was not easy to maintain a work-life balance, but I got the support I needed from my family, my husband and my siblings. The Mars mission was an achievement, but we need to do a lot more. The country needs a lot more from us so that the benefit reaches the last person. So she believes that it was a success, but we need to work a lot more harder in this particular sphere. But she would not shy away from giving the credits to everyone, starting from her team members, to her family members, to her husband, to her siblings. Each and everyone contributed their part in making this mission possible. Okay, so this is all about Ritu Karidhar. Let's move on to the second person of repute of renown. It is Nandini Harinath. She was also she was a rocket scientist at ISRO Satellite Center in Bengaluru. Okay. So this is all about Nandini Karidhar. It does begin. She was a Deputy Operations Director, Mars Orbiter Mission, that is Mangalyaan, ISRO. Nandini Harinath's first exposure to science was Star Trek. So she got attracted, glued to science fiction by watching Star Trek. Now, I don't know whether all of you have watched Star Trek or not. I did watch, and yes, I was thrilled to watch these films because science fiction is very appealing. Not to everyone, but to certain section, and I being a part of it, I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed science fiction on television. At that time, she never thought of becoming a space scientist. For her, it would just happen. These people are so humble, so down to earth, that they would never take credit of what they have worked hard for. They never take. That is the beauty of being a humble human being with a lot of potential. Let me remind you that this is not an easy task. They have to work hard, tremendously, in order to reach where you are right now. It was the first job I applied for, and I got through. It's been 20 years now, and there is no looking back. So she is thoroughly satisfied, satiated with whatever she's doing, and she would not have chosen anything else in any way possible. Being part of the Mars mission was the high point of her life. It was something that she reminisces with a lot of pride and happiness. But it was very important for India, not just for Israel. It's put us on a different pedestal. The meaning of the word pedestal is high level pedestal. Foreign countries are looking to us for collaboration. So they got into limelight. People started recognizing their talent, their potential, and they started to make appeal so that they can work with these people who were involved in the Mars Orbiter mission. And the importance and attention we got was therefore justified. It was correct, it was right. They deserved it. It was also the first time ISRO allowed the public to look at what was happening inside. So this was the first time that people, outsiders, curious witnesses, people who would like to witness, curious onlookers, were given the first peek into what was happening in ISRO. So people would be able to see how the team members at ISRO worked. We were on social media. We had our own Facebook page, and the world took notice. So if you are on Facebook, you know that people take notice of you. If you are there, they would send your friend request and all. So Mission Mars came into limelight, and people started knowing about the achievers via Facebook and, of course, newspapers and clippings. Miss Harinath says she takes immense pride. So she's very proud. She's extremely proud in Mangalyaan, and is really thrilled. Thrilled is extremely excited, and she is pleased and excited, thrilled to see its photograph on the new 2000 rupee note. I hope you know that in the 2000 rupee note we have the picture at the back. Okay. But it was not an easy assignment, and the working days were long. So it was not an easy task, and they had to work strenuously, tremendously, without any break. In the beginning, the scientists worked about 10 hours a day. So at the initial period, it was 10 hours. But as the launch date came closer, it went up to 12 to 14 hours. So they started working hard. This happens during the examination. When you have the study leave, you tend to study more. I'm not saying all of you. Most of you tend to study more. You tend to give more effort, more time, so that you can acquire good marks in your exam. So this was like an exam, and they had to come out with flying colors. They started working even harder. During the launch, so when the launch came closer, I don't think we went home at all. So they did not go home at all. We'd come in the morning, spend the day and the night, perhaps go home for a short while, and next afternoon to eat and sleep for a few hours and come back. So they would take time only so that they can eat, they can feed themselves, and few hours of recess, that means rest or sleep, and they would again get back into the work. But for an important mission like Mangalyaan, which was time bound, it was time bound. They had only 18 months. At the very beginning, I told you, we needed to work like that. We spent many sleepless nights, so they could not sleep because they had to work. They were extremely hardworking lot. We encountered lots of problems. The meaning of the word encountered is to face. They faced quite a lot of problems. They faced quite a lot of impediments, problems, obstructions in their journey, in their path. As we progressed, moved ahead, in the design as well as in the mission. In the designing of the satellite as well as in the mission. But it was coming up with quick solutions and innovations. That was key. So solution and innovation. One has to be innovative. Okay. New ways of doing things. If this is not working, let's move on to plan B. If plan B is not working, let's move on to plan C. Never give up. So they never gave up. That was their attitude. To make matters worse, so for her personal life was very, very important, and it was a crucial period in her life that somehow clashed. To make matters worse, Miss Harinath's daughter's crucial school leaving exams fell right in the middle of the mission. So she was having a board examination, and that clashed with the mission, Mars orbital mission. So what to do? She had to give time to both. She couldn't have chosen. In this particular sphere, choosing one over the other was impossible for her. She was in a dilemma. Let's see, how did she manage? Those few months were very demanding at work and at home. It looked like a race at the time. I'd wake up at 4 a.m. with my daughter to give her company while she studied. So she would be up at 4 a.m. so that she could be by her side, by her daughter's side, consoling her, supporting her when she would study. But now we look back on that time with fondness, with a lot of affection and liking. Fondness is affection and liking for something or someone. She did extremely well in her exam, scoring 100 in maths. So yes, she was an epitome of a true mother figure. She did not shy away. She did not overlook. She was not ignorant of her responsibilities as a mother, and she did that. And that is the reason why her daughter secured 100 out of 100 in mathematics. Today, she's in medical school and is doing really well. So I think it was all worth the effort. So now she cannot crib. She doesn't repent any of the decisions that she took previously in her life. Yes, she might have had to suffer a lot of hardships, but she never gave up. It was her indomitable spirit towards life. She says, the Mars mission was a huge achievement, but that's the past. It was a huge achievement, but they should move ahead. They should look forward and not stagnate themselves, not be proud and sit idle and do nothing about the future. We need to look into the future to see what more we can do. We have the entire cosmic neighborhood waiting to be explored. Cosmic is relating to the universe, especially as distant from the Earth. So it's about the universe. So the whole universe is unexplored, and they need to venture forth, move ahead. There are so many planets, so it's time to venture out. It's time to move out. So she is extremely optimistic in her approach, and she believes that if they continue like this, they will be able to achieve quite a lot in the future. And there won't be any boundary that would restrain their potential and their capabilities. Moving forward to the last scientist that we will be doing in this chapter, it is Anuradha T. Now she is a retired Indian scientist and project director of the ISRO. She specialized in communication satellites. Okay, specialized in communication satellites. She was born on 30th of April 1960 in Bangalore. She was also from Bangalore. So she is a GeoSat program director at ISRO Satellite Center. So let's proceed with what her experience is all about. For this most senior women officer at ISRO, the sky is the limit. So sky is the limit, meaning there is no limit. If you try to reach a limit to the sky, there are several layers: exosphere, stratosphere, atmosphere, mesosphere, etc., etc. So there is no limit as such. The sky is the limit, meaning she is capable of achieving a lot, and there isn't any way to bound her potential, her capabilities. Ms. Anuradha specializes in sending communication satellites into space that sit at least 36,000 kilometers from the center of the Earth. So that is her specialization. That is what she's very good at. This distinguished scientist, who has worked with ISRO for the past 34 years, my God, quite a lot of time, first thought about space when she was 9. So when she was only 9 years old, she thought about space for the first time. Let us see how. It was the Apollo launch when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. So she got to know about Neil Armstrong and the Apollo that went into space for the very first time, unknown specifically, if I'm not wrong. Okay, and that grabbed her attention. But what is she saying? We had no television in those days. I heard about it from my parents and teacher. So she was a curious student. She wanted to explore, and she got to know what she wanted to know. If you love something, you would find out means, you would find out ways to fulfill your desires. And she did that. She was not giving any excuse. She was not ready to provide any excuse because she loved it, and she would get hold of it no matter whatever it takes. Okay. So she got to know about the Apollo from her parents and teachers. It really ignited the imagination. Ignited is to lit something. Okay. So it made her imagination work. I wrote a poem on a man landing on the moon in Kannada, my native language. So she even wrote a poem. She was so involved, she was so engaged that she even wrote a poem. She was so influenced. She wrote a poem in her native language, that is Kannada. Native is a person born in a specified place or associated with a place by birth, whether subsequently resident or unknown. That's mother language. The language is native language, meaning one's mother language, mother tongue. That was Kannada. Considered a role model by other women scientists at ISRO, Anuradha Tikhe was a role model. People aspired to be like her. She was an inspiration. She was an idol. Miss Anuradha disagrees that women and science do not gel. So a lot of people are there. Even I somehow believe that if I seek out the ratio of male scientists is much higher than that of the female ones, because some people believe that science and women, they don't go together, they don't match, they don't work together. But Anuradha Tikhe does not agree with that. She does not believe with that concept. I never liked subjects where I needed to remember a lot, and science looked logical to me. So she followed pragmatism, she followed rationality, she followed logic. I don't believe that Indian girls think science is not meant for them, and I think maths is their favorite subject. So that was her favorite subject, so she would love to believe that maths was her favorite subject. So in the class, just try and associate how many of you love maths or maths is your favorite subject. Now this question is for everyone, irrespective of gender. For the boys in the class, for the girls in the class, just tally whether Anuradha Tikhe is correct or not, if maths is your favorite subject at all. Okay, let's proceed. When she joined ISRO in 1982, There were only a few women on the staff and even fewer in its engineering department. So that was the condition. Women were very, very less in number. In my batch, 5 or 6 women engineers joined ISRO. So 5 or 6. Imagine the number. We stood out and everyone knew us. So they were marked because they were a handful of women in a vast area where so many men were a part of the project. Today, more than 20 to 25% of ISRO's 16,000 employees are women, and we no longer feel special. She laughs. So basically, the situation, the scenario has changed. Initially, it was 5 to 6, now it has increased. So 16,000 employees comprises 20 to 25% of women candidates, and they don't feel special. That means they were not marked out. If 5 women are there out of 100, everyone would say only 5 women. But if there are 30 to 40 women out of 100, they would somehow manage to merge into mingle in the crowd. That would be better. Miss Anuradha dismisses the suggestion that her colleagues consider her an inspiration, but agrees that having more women in the workplace can be a motivating factor. So she is not ready to give any importance to the fact that she is an inspiration. She does not believe that she is an inspiration, which is another sign of being extremely humble and down to earth. Despite achieving so much, despite being so popular, she is not ready to accept that she is very popular. She's saying, absolutely, I am like any other woman. I have worked hard and I have achieved. Any woman who would work hard would reach where I am right now. Very, very humble. You must learn these traits from these famous personalities. So there is a lot of things to learn from these women achievers. Okay, once girls notice that there are lots of women in the space program, they'll also get motivated. They'll think, if she can do it, so can we. So looking at Anuradha Tiki, a lot of women aspired to reach where she was. And that is how they succeeded in their attempt. If she can do it, I can as well. If she can achieve, why can I not? Even I can. So that would act as a motivating factor. People will be motivated. They will be boosted to achieve for higher aspects of life, to aim higher in life and achieve it and not to give up. Although the number of women staff has been growing steadily at ISRO, it is still way below the halfway mark. Yes, it's still below half, but it is increasing steadily and slowly. It has not stopped. That's because we are still carrying cultural loads on our backs, and many women think their priorities lie elsewhere at home, she says. So what she believes is that the reason for this still not achieving, not crossing the halfway mark is because they are overburdened with their cultural ideas, okay, their influence and their beliefs that women are supposed to give or prioritize their family, their children over their profession. Okay, she believes that it is still prevalent, it is still there somewhere. They give importance to their family over the other aspects of life. Even mothers, they tend to not even take care of themselves when it comes to looking after themselves. They tend to give more time to their children, their husbands, their family members than herself. So she places herself at the far end of the pyramid of the family that she has. Okay, she says, Miss Anuradha's advice to women who want to be rocket scientists is simple. So what advice does she give to all the women who would love to achieve in life? Make arrangements. So you must balance, you must make ways to fulfill your dreams. If you love it, you must put in all your efforts that you have. Once I had made up my mind that I needed a purposeful career where my passion lay, passion was space and research, I created a good setup at home. So she loved something so dearly that she never chose. She balanced both the spheres equally with proficiency, with dexterity, and she succeeded in her life. She did not have to choose anything. As such, my husband and my parents-in-law were always cooperative. So of course you need a backing. If you do not get the support, most of the women, they do not get the support that they require from their family members. And it is only when they do not get the support, they do not get the green signal, the thumbs up, that they move back, that they step back and they feel like, no, let's not give it a try. Let's concentrate on my family, concentrate on the welfare of my children. I have not been able to do that, so what? I'll make my children achieve what I could not do. That should not be the case. Okay, she should get the backing, she should get the support that she requires. So I didn't have to worry much about my children. So they cooperated, they managed. I owe my success to the arrangements I made. You have to give something to get something. Absolutely, give and take us. If you have to achieve something in life, there must be something that you need to sacrifice in order to achieve that. Yes, she could not provide her children with 24 hours of time, but she somehow managed. Maybe she did not provide time 24 hours, 24/7, but she somehow compensated with 12 hours or 13 hours, 14 hours, but she never gave up. She never gave up on her hopes, her aspirations and dreams. That's life. So when there was work to do, when I was needed at the office, I was here, working with passion, and when there was an absolute need for me to be at home, I was there. So whichever was given more importance, whenever she was required at home, she would be there, she would try her level best to be there. Whenever she was required at her job, she would be doing it with a lot of passion, fervor, zeal, willingness. So that did not hinder, did not stop her from achieving whatever she did in her life. So this is all about the three women achievers and the member of the Mars Orbiter mission, Ritu Karihal, Nandini Harinath, and Anuradha. So like them, there would be innumerable other achievers, which if you search, if you have the tenacity, the curiosity to look up, please to look up and see the other members of the Mars Orbiter mission. Okay, and we can also learn from them that we should never compromise on our wishes, on our dreams, and on our hopes. We should try and achieve. If we love something very dearly, we should always try to achieve that, braving all odds, all impediments, all problems. And be sure that if you work hard, if you are dedicated towards whatever you're doing, there is nothing that can stop you from reaching your goal or from achieving, coming out with flying colors in any sphere of life. Okay? So this is all about India's space women. I hope you have understood. Any confusion, any doubts, feel free to come up with your queries to the respected teachers. And please do not worry, meanings, question answers, assignments, they will be provided to you all. To be very careful when you're attempting the question answers, and please pay attention to the meaning and read the chapter thoroughly. It's a beautiful piece. Alright, so thank you so much for today. Hope to meet you all soon.